Welcome back, everyone. Today we're joined by a very special guest. It is J. Paul Zimmerman, who you may know as Dylan from Halloweentown. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great today. How are you?
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Halloweentown is one of my all-time favorite Halloween movies. So I got to ask you, 24 years later, what does it mean to you that after all this time, it is still a big part of people's childhoods as well as lives?
That is honestly a really special feeling. Because over the years it's gone from, people walking up and saying, I love your movies, I watch them all the time, to now it's people coming up and saying, I love your movies. And I show them to my kids when they're old enough, and it's part of the Halloween tradition. And it's the fact that it continues to bring families together over this interest in Halloween, 24 years later. That's a pretty special thing.
I 100% agree with you. Do you have a favorite scene that you filmed in the original Halloweentown movie that was your favorite?
Um, I don't know if it's one specific scene, but I will say that my favorite part of that first Halloween Town was all the time that the three of us kids spent in Benny's taxi driving around. That was just kind of a whole afternoon of the three of us bonding in the back seat and hanging out with Benny, who's my favorite character. And that was just such a fun day, and I'll never forget that. And probably added up to a couple minutes of time on screen, but it's the imprint is there forever.
So did that scene take like an entire day to film when you were filming inside the taxi, like you said?
It was a little complicated because they had the animatronic skeleton quote unquote driving taxi, and there was some, and it was the middle of summer, and so it was ridiculously hot. That probably would be my only complaint. But so they had some poor guy down there pressing the pedals and staying out of view of the camera. So technically it did take a minute, but the three of us didn't mind. We were all Emily had the huge lollipop that Kalabar gave her, and so we, in between takes, we'd all be sneaking licks of that. Self-entertainment.
That's awesome. I never knew that. So when you guys weren't filming, were you doing anything on set or in anyone's trailers that was pretty fun? What was it like when you weren't filming?
We spent a lot of time together when we weren't filming. Phil and I played a lot of Nintendo 64 in my trailer, and a lot of cards. And on the weekends, me and like my mom and Kim's dad would get together, and we go see the sights. Like, we go pick a different place every weekend, go check out the big hotel where they shot The Shining and stuff like that. And we just would spend a lot of time together in between filming and really solidify that family feeling, which was just, that was the funnest part about like working on a set with new brothers and sisters, because you just got to bond all the time.
Totally off topic, but I love N64. So what games were you playing?
We played a lot of GoldenEye, a lot of GoldenEye. Honestly, I can't even think of another game that we played, just because it was every time there's a break, cram as many people in the trailer and do a split screen on a tiny TV, and a lot of GoldenEye.
Well, that's awesome. Were there any challenges that you faced while filming the movie?
Um, well, like I said, it was a brutally hot summer up there in St. Helens, and a lot of people in those big thick monster masks, the extras, like they were passing out pretty regularly. And we, as kids who could only work a certain amount of hours anyway, I mean, we were just getting so over exhausted from the heat that was not fun. That was probably the biggest challenge, was having to put up with that.
No, I totally get that. That must have been extremely difficult, especially for those costumes, because I know they were so huge, a bunch of those costumes. But I got to ask about Debbie Reynolds, the legendary actress who unfortunately passed away. She played your grandmother. What was it like working alongside her?
Working with Debbie Reynolds was this amazing connection into classic Hollywood. Uh, Really is just one of the many ways that I could put it. Here we are making a Disney Channel movie, And then here comes Debbie Reynolds, the legend. And what was most impressive about working with her was how 100% of the time when she was around, she was on. She was telling stories or she was doing impressions. And even just having a conversation with her was not like having a conversation with anyone else, because she was Debbie, and everything she said, oh well dear, yes, well this, and you should do this, and here's my advice. And it was really like having grandma too. She became, in as much of a sense as the rest of us were bonding. Debbie really worked hard to cross that generation gap and bond with us kids, and make us feel like we had a grandma. And she was just so inspiring to be around.
Well, that is awesome to hear. Emily said some really great things about her as well, so I'm glad that the whole cast felt that. But did you get to keep any props that were from the film? And if so, or if you didn't get to keep any, which ones would you have wanted to?
We got, I think they made each of us kids a copy of that Halloweentown storybook
Mhm.
that Grandma read to us in the beginning of the first one, which was a pretty wonderful thing to have. That was very special. And but for my for myself, in Halloweentown High, the third one, wardrobe created all of these really cool outfits and like school uniforms. And I confess I did grab a couple of those and take them home with me, like some of the gym.
Do
Some of
you do you have them on display anywhere? They kind of just sit in your closet.
I think they got too small, that I didn't really know what to do with them, so they're in storage somewhere. I
Well, do you
moved around a lot.
well do you have a favorite movie? Because I know you were in all four of the Halloween Town movies. Do you have a favorite of which one?
I tried to think about that before we talked because I figured it might come up, and it's something I think about all the time. And it really truly is hard to pick a favorite one, because there are so many different connections with them at so many different times in my life. But I always end up saying, coming out of it and saying that the first one, doing that first one, being in the town of St. Helens for the first time, um, meeting this new family for the first time. I grew up watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so when I learned that Judith Hoag was playing my mother, I went nuts. I tried to keep it cool until the last day of filming, and then I finally went all fanboy on her, and she was great about it. And and there were just so much connected with that first one. Everything that unfolded from it, being there with family too, that made it a really special entry. I will have to say that the first one's my favorite one.
Well, I would have to agree with you on that one. So, what characteristics of your character Dylan did you see in yourself as a little kid or when you were filming at that time?
That was a fun process, because I have always been into Halloween and spooky stuff ever since I was a kid. So it was kind of this ironic thing where here I was getting to be a part of a story like that, but I had to play somebody who was a real skeptic. And
Hmm.
so having to combine both of those elements, was a really interesting process for me, even at like as an actor, even just at 12 years old. And it turned into me putting a lot of myself in Dylan, because I may be into the spooky stuff, but I'm also a huge nerd at the same time, and it just ended up being Dylan became a blend of myself, and then eventually I think I became a blend of a little bit of Dylan as well after so many years of playing a character and working with it. I mean, it starts to bleed over.
Well, it's funny you mentioned how Dylan was such a skeptic towards Halloween because I wanted to ask you. I know that Dylan doesn't like dressing up, especially in the second movie, when he goes to the Halloween party and he doesn't know what to wear. So I got to ask, what is your favorite Halloween costume that you've ever dressed up as?
Oh man, this is a deep cut. But when I was, I think maybe 9 or 10 years old, My mother is and always has been an exceptionally talented seamstress. So most of the Halloween costumes I've had, she made from scratch. I was very lucky in that sense. And also in the sense that I could come to her with any old garbage, like a picture from a comic book, and she would make an entire costume out of it. So there was, I don't know if you remember, but several years ago, there was a DC versus Marvel comic series. And one of the results of that was a series called Amalgam, where they combined different characters into one. You know, Wolverine got mixed with Batman, and they called him Darkclaw. And so Superboy got mixed with Spider-Man, and it was Spider-Boy. So it was this brand new original character, no costume existed, and she just went all out from one picture in a comic book, and that was a win. I got really lucky there.
Well, that seems pretty awesome. If there was a Halloweentown reboot that came back, would you want to come back for it?
100%, absolutely. In whatever format, whether they bring us back and have us play our old characters, or whether I get to come back and drop in as somebody new, and sort of help out, like that would be so much fun.
Well, you never know. Disney is full of surprises, so that would be pretty awesome to see you guys all back together. I know you still talk to the cast, so do you want to talk about the event that's coming up?
Sure, yeah, we can talk about that.
So do you want to just tell me what the event is and how anyone can get tickets or where it is?
It is the Spirit of Halloweentown event, which they hold every year in the town of St. Helens. Unfortunately, I just learned that the Saturday is sold out, but there may still be something available on Sunday. I can send the links over. And it's a celebration of Halloweentown, being that it's the town where they filmed the first Halloweentown. There's a huge pumpkin out in the town square. They basically do their best to transform it into Halloweentown again every year. Thousands of people come, and there's haunted houses, and we do like a little pizza party, meet and greet with people, and sign autographs. This year there's going to be a parade. Apparently it's going to be pretty huge, and it's always a good time to go back because I get to reconnect with everybody.
Well, that sounds pretty spooky. I hope I can come one year. But back to what we were talking about earlier with the creatures. Do you have a favorite creature, witch, warlock, anything like that is your favorite?
Absolutely, my favorite of all time is Benny. I've always loved the animatronic stuff and skeletons and bad jokes, and so it felt like Benny was created just for me to fall in love with, and I did.
Well, final question. What's your favorite Halloween candy?
I'm going to create a lot of enemies with this answer, but I absolutely love candy corn. I am the one who will take all of your candy corn and eat it if you don't want it.
Well, I am not a particular fan of candy corn, but I will accept it as an answer. Well, Jay, thank you so much for joining me today. You can still watch Jay in Halloweentown, Halloweentown 2, Kalabar's Revenge, Halloweentown High, and Return to Halloweentown on Disney Plus this Halloween. Thanks so much. And do you have anything to say to any Halloweentown fans that have supported you over the years?
Yes, I would like to say thank you for doing so. Thank you for making it a brand new family tradition, and thanks for staying spooky and loving weird stuff. I love it.